Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'm working with you step by step through the ABRSM Theory Grades, and we're cracking on now with 2016 past papers for grade 4. We're on paper B, continuing with that paper. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets that are available to download in US letter or A4, and they accompany each step of this series. Everything you need to know can be found in these documents. There's also a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can access information about the books that I have available. I've written How to Take Your ABRSM Music Theory Exam, and it's an exam technique book full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to best make use of the time when you're in the exam room. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it all there. If you can give me a like, that'd be fab, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more in store. And so now if you turn with me to page 10 in the past paper booklet, we're on grade 4 paper B, and we're going to start looking at question 3. So if you grab your pencil, ruler and eraser, that's what you'll need for the exam, so we'll just stick to those. And let's crack on with this question. I hope you've tried this on your own first of all. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes, you can always erase it, it doesn't matter. It's better to learn that way through your mistakes. Here we go then. So I'm hoping you've had a go, and we'll go through this together now. Look at this melody. So everything's going to be relating to this melody in this question 3 by Debussy, and then answer the questions that follow. So again, we're going to have some performance directions here because it's sort of a more impressionistic, late romantic, early 20th century sort of heading into French modern music. We're going to have some French terms now as well. And so it's just a case of learning to revise these. It's just taking the time to revise them. And don't forget, in the new exam format from 2018 onwards, these will be presented in a multiple choice format. So here, my French pronunciation is dreadful. Modéré. I don't know, dreadful, but I can read it. It means moderately, at a moderate speed. I suppose that would be a better way of saying it. At a moderate speed. It literally means moderately though. This word here, douce, I presume, means gently or sweetly. And just a plain old dynamic suggestion here. This is short for pianissimo. Piano is quiet or softly, and then the issimo makes it extra, so that would mean very quiet or very soft. Either of those will do. There we go. Okie dokie, let's crack on. So now we're asked to rewrite bars 1 and 2 an octave higher, showing the treble clef. So we do actually need to change the pitch by an octave, but if you keep middle C as your reference point, then you won't end up too many octaves out. So at present, we're written here in bass clef, and if you notice, we're starting on the F below middle C. And so to be an octave higher, we need to be on the F above middle C. And so that will give us our starting point. So if we just give our starting point here, so there's middle C, and so our F below middle C. Let's see if we can get that in camera. So no, we can't quite see. Oh, just, there we go. So we're copying this bit, but rewriting it an octave higher in treble clef. And so now we can go down a third, 1, 2, 3, taking us to the D, and then back to the F, next door note, Now here, this is down a fifth, which takes us to C. And so if we're taking that up an octave, that will take us to middle C. So if we add middle C, and then we can see that we're 1, 3, 5 away, so that's the correct interval. And then up a step, next door note. And then up a third should take us to the F that we started with. 1, 2, 3, that's correct. No need to colour that one in. And then down a third again to the D. So we're correct, 1, 2, 3. So we're using intervals and also just bearing in relation to what's gone before as well. And then down a step should take us to middle C again. There we go. It's just getting that first note and then it's pretty simple to follow that. So now of course the stems are going to go in different directions because we've now come below the middle line. So the stems will have to point upwards now. Beam those. Beam those. And those last ones. There we go. That's that. So let's press on. So 3B, the first part of that asks us to write as a breve or a double whole note. That's one of these. An enharmonic equivalent of the first note of the melody. So let's see what we've got here. So we've got an F at the moment. So if it helps, you could always have a piece of scrap paper or you can quickly sketch one out your piano keyboard. So we need to find another way of writing note F. The key signature isn't affecting it, so we could call it an E sharp, or we could call it a G double flat. So either one of those two will do. So here's how we'd write E sharp. There's the E. Bear in mind the pitch as well, we're below middle C. So that's the E below middle C. We'll make it a breve and then we need to sharpen it. So that would do. Alternatively, you could do this G and then give it double flats. Either one of those would be acceptable. But it's helpful to just visualise it really so you can see exactly where you're going. Even if you're not a piano player, it's still helpful to refer to the piano keyboard. It's a good visual clue. Cracking on then. How many semiquavers or 16th notes are the tied notes in bars 4 to 5 worth in total? So we're looking at this here. So let's just figure out how many semiquavers that will be. So we know that there are, let's just work this out. We know that there are 2 quavers or 2 eighth notes, or 4 semiquavers, 16th notes. So we know that there are 4 in a crotchet or a quarter note. So let's see how many quarter note beats we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know we're going to have to do 4 times 7. So 7 fours, or 4 times 7 is 28, and so that's our answer. It's much easier to find 1 beat's worth and then just multiply it if it's a massive great number. Okie dokie. So now we're going to be looking at the time signature. Underline 1 time signature in the list below that's an alternative way of writing 2-2. So we're just trying to write the same time signature but in a different symbol. So obviously it can't be that because that's totally the wrong number. It's going to be one of those. Now if you remember, this from grade 1 means common time. That's the same as 4-4. This is the one, the same way as writing 2-2. It's sometimes referred to as split common time, and the official term is à la brève, but it's that one. That's all you need to do there. Righty ho, let's carry on. Draw a circle around two notes next to each other that are a perfect fifth apart. So we're going to have to just do a bit of scanning here. So we know that a fifth goes sort of from line, 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 or space, space, space. So we can quickly scan through. Here's 1, straight away 1, 3, 5. C to G is a perfect fifth, so that's the answer pretty quickly. There's probably more as well, so let's just have a look through. None of these are far enough away, you can just tell at a glance. However, here 1, 3, 5, G to D. There we go, so we've got two options there, either one of those will do. The last part of this question, true or false to the following statement: the smallest melodic interval between two notes next to each other in this melody is a minor second. So let's have a look. So let's see what seconds we've got. So we're looking for next door notes. So we've got a second here, F to G. However, that's a major second. So, because you'll find that occurring F major has G's in it. So that's okay. So we've got C to D. Remember, the lowest interval is always counted as 1, even if it comes second. So C to D, that's a major. C to D, that's a major second. So we've got seconds, but they're major seconds at the moment. No more seconds here. Here's another one. So we've got F to G again, just like this, but an octave lower. That's a major second, so that's not a minor second. F to G again, same interval. So actually, although there are lots of seconds, it's a bit of a trick question because they're not minor seconds, they're major seconds, and so the answer to that is false. Okay, let's turn over to the next page. So this still relates to this question, but in a little bit more of an abstract way. Name two standard orchestral instruments, one string and one woodwind, that could play this melody so that it sounds at the same pitch. So we need to choose instruments that can play in the bass clef. So if you're choosing string, you couldn't say violin because the violin is a treble clef. And same also with the woodwind question. So for the string instruments, the bass string instruments, you could say cello. You could also say double bass. They are the lower string instruments. And then woodwind, the low woodwind in the bass clef is the bassoon. That's part of a standard orchestra. You could also stretch the point and say double bassoon. Either one of those would be acceptable. And so now, just generally speaking, it's asking us, name the highest sounding member of the standard orchestral brass family. So in the brass, the highest instrument that plays in the treble clef is the trumpet. Trumpet is an orchestral instrument. Instruments like cornet and so on, a brass band, not standard orchestral instruments, so it must be trumpet there. Okay, next one asks us to underline two instruments from the list below that are members of the standard orchestral percussion family. So it can't be trombone because that's brass. It can't be violin because that's strings. Bit of a brain freeze there. And so it has to be timpani, or sometimes that's called the kettle drum, and cymbals. There we go. Let's just have a look. We'll just carry on for this last little bit and look at these scales. Add all sharp or flat or natural signs to the notes that need to make this a chromatic scale beginning on the given note. Again, this is where you really need to refer. Let's see if I can put that so we can see everything. To a piano keyboard, because we can see we're starting on a B. And it's much easier to then, so we just need to react to what they've given us. Depending what note they've given us, we call this either B flat or A sharp. In this case, they've given us an A, so we must refer to this as an A sharp. And then of course we have to come to A, and so don't forget we need to cancel that with a natural sign, otherwise the sharp is still active. So we've gone to A, and so here we'd have to call this G sharp because they've given us a note head G. Then of course we need to cancel that. Then they've given us an F note head, so we'd have to call that F sharp. And again we need to cancel that with a natural sign. So we're here now. So E, that's okay as it is, that doesn't need to be changed at all. And then here we could either call this an E flat or a D sharp. And because they've given us a note head of a D, remember we're in the treble clef, so we'd have to call that a D sharp. And then we'll cancel the next one to give us a D natural. Then we need to have a C sharp. So now we need to come to C, so we need to cancel that, and then we're back home. B is the next note. So that's job done. It's so much simpler if you just visualise it on the piano keyboard. I would always write this out on a piece of scrap paper before you do your exam, or you could quickly sketch it out when you need it here, but I would do it first as last, and then it's just there before you even get going. So now the last part that we're going to look at. Write one octave ascending, remember we need to go up, of the major scale that has this key signature. Use semi-breves or whole notes, so we don't need to worry about stems and begin on the tonic. So we're just going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So major scale, which has 4 flats, B, E, A, D, is this one. It always knocks back one. I would always also, before you start the exam or before you start your past paper, just quickly write out your key signatures. It's all there for you. You've done all your thinking in one place rather than keep having to scratch your head and think about it. So it's an A flat major, and so we literally need to remember we're in bass clef. So there's our A, and then it's literally counting space line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we've finished on an A, so we know that we've not gone wrong, and that's the end of that question. Nice and easy. So we'll leave this paper here and we'll finish the next bit in the next video. I do hope that this is helpful to you. If you go to sharonbill.com, have a look at all the resources there. Please do give me a like, that would be really fab. And do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.